Hi, Jennifer here from Good Health Physical Therapy. Today's yoga practice, I'll be offering some modifications as well as some specific guidance for those of you who struggle with hypermobility. I hear a lot of people talk about how they can't practice yoga or been told they shouldn't practice yoga because of their hypermobility. And while I do think that there are certain poses that maybe one with hypermobile joints shouldn't strive for, I think in general yoga can still be a really great practice. We just need to focus on the grounding components, the strengthening components, and the gentle lengthening and stretching components rather than striving for going as far as you can and stretching deeply as yoga, traditional yoga classes often focus on. So we're doing some warm-ups to gently warm up the kind of midsection, the core, and the glute area of the body. And I have a chair here for the sun salutations, and you can use that. And I'll be turning it in both directions, and I'll show you that as we go. And I do have 2 yoga blocks as well. So we're going to start on your back and have one of those yoga blocks close by. You're going to grab that block, one of those blocks, and place it between your thighs. And first thing we're going to do is just breathe. So you can put your hands on your belly so you can feel your body move as you breathe. And you might even place your hands kind of at the rib cage. Can also be a nice place to feel the breath. So as you inhale, feel the ribs expand and the belly rise. And as you exhale, you're going to squeeze that block. Now we're going to make that breath, that exhale, just a little bit stronger. So imagine you're trying to blow out some candles, but they're far away, like on the ceiling. And with pursed lip exhale, you should feel that belly compress a little bit more. Make sure on your inhale you relax that squeeze. And just to think of it as just allowing the breath in. And as you exhale, squeeze. Allow the breath in and exhale and squeeze. Make sure your neck and upper shoulders are staying relaxed. Sometimes at the end of the breath there can be a little too much force at the end of the exhale, so be mindful of that. And just 2 more. All right, and for the next one, you can just place that block off to the side. And draw your navel to your spine so your lower back draws towards the floor. Don't have to focus on flattening your back. That can produce a little bit too much tension sometimes. And your hands can be here on your hips or on the floor as you like. And we'll start with just one leg at a time. And we'll progress this as we go for those of you who'd like to progress it. So first thing, we're just gonna move the feet out a little bit. So there's roughly a 90-degree bend in the knees. It's a little easier if you bring your legs closer, but I want to bring my legs a little further out. And just gonna slowly bring the feet up and down. And what we're looking for here is that the hips stay nice and stable. So if you're not sure, you can place your hands on your hips. And just to kind of feel the difference, if you just kind of let your abdominals go and like no effort to try and activate or engage your core, and you march your feet up and down, you might be able to feel the hips kind of move. So as you lift your leg, your hip will drop maybe a little bit. And then as I draw my navel to my spine, and then I do that again, then I can feel that my hips stay stable. So that's what we're looking for. And if that feels a little challenging, you'll stay with this. And if you'd like to make it a little harder, then you can lift both feet up. And then we'll reverse that motion so one stays up and one comes down. Again, if you're not sure if your hips are moving, just go ahead and keep your hands on your hips so you can feel that. And if you feel a little shaking, that's good. And you want to keep that navel drawing towards the spine And if you feel this strongly in your hip flexors at the front of your hip, I encourage you to go back to the previous option. That means those muscles are just taking over a little bit. Well, they have to work because you're lifting and lowering your leg, but we don't want them to do too much. Well, it can create some tension there. Just a few more. And then we'll have one more warm up here on our backs. And just one more on each side. If you're going a little faster or a little slower than me, that's fine. All right, and just taking the feet a little wider now and just feet together and just moving the knees a little bit side to side. Just gently finding some gentle rotation of the low back. Then you're going to grab that block again, place it between your thighs and your feet about hip distance. And then draw the lower back towards the mat or navel to spine. And then lift your hips up. So not going as high as you can. So don't just force your hips up quickly. You're going to move nice and slow. And as you come down, you're going to keep that feeling of the navel drawing towards the spine. Or you could think of it as one vertebra coming down at a time. At the very end, you want to just let go back to neutral and don't just let go all the way. Because we want to keep some activation of the muscles at the core. So repeat that, draw your lower back towards the mat, lift up into a gentle bridge, and then slowly coming down one vertebra at a time. And we'll just do 3 more of those for 5. And as you lift and lower, it can also be helpful to keep your hands on your hips so you can feel if one is wobbling or if you're able to remain stable through this range of motion. Last one. All right, and for the next one, they'll be standing. And mountain pose, and some of these things, if you do enjoy going to like a public yoga class, some of these you can keep in mind. Some of these things we'll work on because a lot of these things are done commonly in general yoga classes, so you can kind of keep some of these cues in mind. So the first one is mountain pose. So just take your arms over your head. And for those of you with a lot of mobility at the low back, it can sometimes be a little too much arch in the back as you do this and a little too much forward pressure in the feet. So we want to keep the weight centered of the center of your feet, and ground through the both sides of the ball of the foot and the center of the big toe, center of the heel, excuse me. And then as you reach your arms over your head, you're going to keep a little bit of that scoop. So drawing the tailbone towards the floor to help take you out of that overarching of the low back, if that's your habit. And then reaching up towards the ceiling. And still taking nice deep breaths as you reach into this strong and grounding pose. Grounding through the feet and reaching through the arms. And as you exhale, go ahead and bring your arms down. And now we're going to move through some sun salutations, and I'll do the first couple using the chair, or I'll use the chair for all of them, the first with the chair this way, and then I'll turn the chair around for those who want to make it a little harder. You're welcome to do this coming all the way to the floor if that's your practice, but I won't go through that today. So standing with the chair about with the arms, one arm's reach in front of you. Inhale, reach up into that mountain pose again. And as you exhale, bring your hands down to the chair and just walk your feet back till you're into like a modified plank. And the heels can be lifted or the heels can be down, but more important than that, I encourage you to have the shoulders in line with the wrists. And the chair can be nice too because I can hold around the sides. So for some of you, this kind of flat hand position isn't very comfortable and is a little straining for the wrists. And from here, I'm going to inhale, lift my right leg up. And exhale, step my right foot forward on the mat. So I'm in a modified warrior 1. And for this one, this pose as well, emphasize drawing the tailbone towards the floor. And as you inhale, reach your arms over your head. As you exhale, bring your hands down and step back into that modified plank position. Inhale, lift the other leg up. Exhale, step your left foot forward. Inhale, reaching up as you draw the tailbone towards the earth. And that's just a gentle or mild cue, so I don't want you to force it. We just want to, again, avoid overarching the low back in this shape. Next, exhale, bring your hands back down to the chair and step back into that modified plank. And then walk your feet to the front of the mat. I'm going to turn it around for the second one. You can stick with that option if you like. My chair is pretty sturdy, and I do have a bookshelf here that's kind of leaning against. So if when you're going into this one, just want to make sure that maybe your chair's against the wall or against something sturdy so it doesn't slide up from under you. And we'll begin again. Inhale, reaching up into that mountain pose. And exhale, bring your hands down. Step back to plank. As you inhale and as you exhale, just go ahead and hold that plank. And when you're in plank, so you're gonna have to hold here for a few more moments, making sure your shoulders are over your wrists is the most important thing. And if your tendency is to hyperextend the elbows, think about the eye of the elbow kind of in line almost with the thumb, or the center of your elbow. Because you want it to be we don't want it to be forward, we want it to be sort of facing the other arm. Next, inhale, lift your right leg up. Doesn't have to be a big lift, it's just for stability. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, reach your arms up as you reach the tailbone down. And exhale, bring your hands down and step back to plank. Inhale, lift the left leg up. And exhale, step your left foot forward. Inhale, reach your arms up. Tailbone down. And exhale, bring your hands to the chair. Inhale, step your foot forward, so both feet are at the top of the mat. And exhale, let yourself just fold forward, drawing your navel to your spine as you do so. Inhale, reach your arms up back to mountain pose. And exhale, hands to your sides. And we'll do one more sun salutation, so you can keep the chair like this, you can turn it back around the other way, or if you like, you can go all the way to the floor, if that's your practice. Inhale, reach your arms up into mountain pose as your tailbone reaches for the earth. And exhale, fold forward, bring your hands down. Then step back to plank. Inhale, lift your right leg up. And exhale, step your right foot forward. Inhale, reach your arms to the skies, your tailbone reaches to the earth. And exhale, bring your hands down and step back to plank. Inhale, lift the left leg. And exhale, left foot forward. Ground the back heel. Inhale, reach up, tailbone reaches down. And exhale, hands down and step back to plank. Inhale, step both feet forward. And as you exhale, let your head drop into a forward fold as you draw your navel to your spine. Inhale, look forward. Keep that belly toned as you reach up, back into mountain pose one last time. And exhale, hands to your sides. All right, and for the next one, we're coming down into hands and knees. I know for some of you that's not comfortable, and I'm gonna show you a way to modify that, or a way to modify to protect your wrists. Just gonna turn my chair out of the way here. You can also go on your fists. I personally don't find that comfortable, but some people do. We can try this. So I just rolled up my yoga mat a few times. My yoga mat's pretty thick, so you might have to roll yours a little smaller, something like this, if your mat's a little thinner. Or you can also use a blanket if you have like a kind of a, not fluffy, but kind of more stiff blanket, and you can put your heels, the heels of your hand on the blanket. So that just takes some of the flexion or some of the extension out of the wrist and gets you a little bit less of that. So sometimes that's enough to take some pressure off. And then the higher, if I make this a little higher, then it provides me a little bit more support, like so. You're gonna have one, actually you don't need those blocks. Okay. So we're gonna work on some stability here as well. And first, just gonna slide the leg back. So this, my right foot's gonna come back first, and I'm gonna keep my toes in contact with my mat. So the goal here is to avoid letting your weight, all of your weight shift over to the side. And I can show this from a different angle too, so you can see what I mean. And slide that leg back. As you exhale, draw your navel to your spine. And as you inhale, bring the foot back down. Exhale, slide the other leg back. Inhale, bring it back to meet the right. And I'll show it from this way, just so you can see what I mean about the weight shift. So as you slide your leg back, sometimes the tendency would be to shift to one side. So we want to avoid that, and we use those kind of deeper abdominal muscles to do that, and muscles like kind of around the low back. And then you're going to bring the knee back down. And exhale, extend the other leg. So it can be helpful to move the rhythm of your breath, because it helps prevent you from holding your breath, especially if you're really focusing. And then just keep going, and I'll turn back the other way and then give you your second option. And if that feels pretty okay for you and you would like to make it a little harder, you can go ahead and lift that leg up. And just make sure that when you lift your leg, you're still keeping that weight centered and you're not just letting yourself shift to the side for that support. And if you're choosing this one, as you lift the leg, focus on the leg being straight and strong. And if you want, we'll just do a few more rounds. If you would like to make this a little more challenging, you can extend the other arm, opposite arm forward if you want to explore that. One other thing to think about as we move through this is what's happening with the head and the neck. So we don't want to just let the head dangle. We also don't want to please avoid looking forward and create some tension through the upper neck. So I want you to look down at the floor, think about the back of the head coming towards the ceiling. And just a couple more, well, two more on each side. I give you lots of things to think about, but that's part of what's good about the practice. It keeps you really present when you have a lot of things to focus on. So once you come out to your knees for a moment, if that's not comfortable, just go ahead and stand for a moment, and I'm just going to roll out the wrists. Just gently, gentle range of motion, a few rotations in each direction. And we will actually come up and stand for the next one, and then we'll come down to the hands and knees again so we can give the wrists and the knees a little bit of a break. So go ahead and grab one of your yoga blocks. And you're going to place that block between your thighs. If you don't have a yoga block, you can use maybe like a couch cushion or something that you can squeeze, but you want to be able to keep your thighs parallel because we don't want them kind of angled in. I'm going to keep your legs like in 11. And we're just going to work on some mini squats. So squeezing the block helps you actually activate those deeper core muscles. So as you exhale, you're going to squeeze that block and reach your arms forward and sit down into a little squat. And just hold here for just a moment while I give you a few tips about your alignment. You want your weight a little bit more towards your heels. You just don't want it in your, don't lift your toes. You just, if you shift your weight back into your heels, it'll help take some pressure off the knees. And as you reach your arms forward, we want to be mindful here too that we're not just overreaching, that we keep those shoulders back. And again, tailbone down towards the earth. Inhale, standing up. And we'll just now move with the breath a few times. Exhale, return to that squat. Take the hips back. Draw your navel to your spine. Inhale, standing up. And exhale, squatting. Chair pose, or sometimes called fierce pose. Inhale, stand, and exhale, sit back. And just one more. Inhale, and exhale. Inhale, stand, and you can place that block off to the side and return to hands and knees for a little shoulder work. And I'll show this one from each direction as well, so you can see clearly what my arms are doing. And again, roll up that mat if that was helpful for your wrists, or again, you can be on your fists if you so choose. We'll be briefly switching, so if this gets tiring, you'll just be there for a couple seconds, and then you'll switch to the other side. Start by taking the right arm out, T shape. And this one as well, you want to make sure you be aware of what's happening with the head and neck, that the back of the head is kind of reaching towards the ceiling, or you can think of this as like tucking the chin, giving yourself a double chin, and then take your arm out to the side. Bend your elbow to 90 degrees, and then reach your arm over your head. Your arm will be maybe alongside your ear. If it's a little lower, that's okay. You're going to bring your arm back where you started, and then bring your arm down. And then same other side. So extend your left arm, space over there. Bend your elbow to 90 degrees. Reach your arm over your head, and then reach out to the side, and then back down. And I'll show it from this direction as well. Extend your right arm out to a T. Bend the elbow to 90 degrees, trying to keep that arm lifted just as high, and then reach your arm up. Bring it back out to a T, and then bring it down. And left side again, bring it out, and bend, and reach, back to the T, and down. We'll do one more on each side. Just keep focusing on the breath, drawing your navel to your spine, back of the head towards the ceiling, and left side, and one more each side. Great. And then we'll go ahead and sit back towards the heels again. This time we'll take this into a little bit of a squat from the bottom up. So you're gonna sit back towards your heels. Now avoid just plopping down into this. I want you to keep your hips lifted a little bit and slowly come up, and maybe you can keep your heels a little bit lifted, not as high as you can, just a little lifted, and then slowly bring them back down. Well, let's reverse that motion. Lift the heels and slowly come into a squat. And if your knees don't like this, just stand in a forward fold for a moment. Keeping the heels just lifted a bit off the mat, and slowly coming forward into a fold. Bring your hands to your hips, point your elbows to the sky. Lift the back of the head towards the ceiling. See a sense of your back is flat. And then as you inhale, slowly rise. All right, and next we'll work on Warrior 3. I'm gonna use the chair again. You can use the wall. It's just not a good vantage point for this, for me to do it that way. So I'm gonna use my chair. So with my hands, again, I'm gonna have to walk back just a little bit. So this is a balance pose. Some of you might choose to not use the chair and just do the single leg balance, and that's fine. We can work towards it. And this will be, I'll do a little bit of flowing kind of motion as once we find our alignment. So I'm gonna walk back so my spine is moving towards parallel to the floor. Because I have this support of my bookshelf there, I can kind of put some pressure into it. So it's nice if you have something to push into, so the wall can be really helpful here. Lift your navel to your spine, and then slowly lift the right leg. Now just kind of play for a moment, if you can, like go with one hand, place your left hand on your hip, and then you can feel if your weight is shifting. And I'll show this from the other side so you can see what I mean. Keep the navel to the spine. You can put other hand on your low back so you can feel if you're kind of dropping there and dipping, because we don't want that dip there. We want to protect the lower back. And makes you use those abdominal muscles as well. And slowly bring that foot forward and stand up. Now we'll try the other side, and just for the sake of showing the potential weight shift so you can see what I mean, I'll just do it facing forward. So you can set up just like before with your hands on the chair or the wall though. So reach your arms, kick your leg back as you reach your arms forward, or you can start by reaching them back if you're choosing to try the full pose. And what often happens here is we shift to one side. You can see even as soon as I do that, I really lose my balance because I'm not using the muscles over here as much. So I'm gonna draw the hip in, and then I can feel that both sides of my pelvis are level. I'm drawing the navel to the spine. I can feel my lower back is nice and straight. And sometimes it's helpful if you think about reaching through the crown of the head. Keep your body in a straight line and then slowly step back down. All right, now we'll try that again, two more times on each side. We'll move a little bit with the breath. So find your chair or wall. Step back into position. Take a breath in. And exhale, lift your right leg. Hold it here, or if you'd like to work towards the full balance pose, reach one hand back. Maybe reach the other hand back. Maybe reach the hands forward. And then step down. Then you can stop at any point along the way in terms of what I was doing with the arms. So I'll try on the other side. And if this is a new posture for you, if you're working a bit on your balance, you can just lift your leg less, and that's totally fine. You can even keep your toe on the floor and just hit most of your weight on your base leg. So go ahead and lift that left leg. The option to reach one hand back. Maybe other hand back. Maybe both hands forward. And step down. And one more try on each side. Find your position. Hips over heels. Lift your right leg. Navel to spine. Reach to the crown of the head. One hand reaches back. Other hand reaches back. And slowly stand up. And one more each side. Or one more left side. Go into your position. Draw your navel to your spine. Lift the left leg. Reach one hand back. Maybe other hand back. Maybe both hands forward. And slowly step down. All right, that was it for Warrior 3. And next you're gonna grab your 2 blocks. And we're gonna take this into a wide-legged fold. So I know that some of you probably can go quite far. So again, you're gonna avoid going as far as you can. Just gonna walk your feet out. And for me, I go about 3 feet, 4 feet between my feet, but I'm kind of tall. So if you're a little smaller, then you're gonna go, just keep it about 3 feet. So it's not super specific. I just don't want you to go as far as you can. Now, what does that mean? That's something that you do have to explore a little bit to figure out what that means to stay far away from your edge, the edge of what's possible. And then you're gonna keep your back nice and straight, and you're gonna hinge at the hips. Keep a soft bend in the knees. If that's your tendency is to lock out your knees, I encourage you to just really bend them a lot, and then slowly come forward. And this is just a nice, gentle forward fold. Keep your navel lifting towards your spine. And then we're gonna go ahead and walk your hands into a lunge position. So you're gonna walk your, go ahead and turn to the right. And then turn to one edge of your mat. You can stay like this, and some of you can put your knee down, and if it's a little too much for your knee, you can fold your mat over, or you can slide that. If you have a blanket or another pillow close by, you can just put it underneath your knee. On your inhale, lift your arms up. And on your exhale, you're going to bring that right arm down and twist to the right. Inhale, bring both arms up again. And exhale, hands to the blocks. Lift that back leg, and we're going to go all the way to the other side. Go ahead and bring both blocks with you. and turn into a lunge facing the other direction. Gonna lower that knee softly to the mat. And as you come up, focus again on drawing the tailbone towards the earth. Not aggressively, but just gently so you avoid overarching the low back. On your next inhale, reach your arms up. And turn to the left as you reach your left arm down and the right arm forward. Or a gentle twist. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, both hands down. Lift the back knee. Inhale, turn yourself back to that wide fold. The feet can be turned out a little bit. As you exhale, just softly gently drop into a fold. Inhale, lengthening the arms, coming a little bit out of that shape, and again, turning to the right as you exhale. Inhale, lower the knee, reach the arms to the sky. And exhale, turn to the right. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bring the hands down, lift the back knee. Inhale, turn to the long side of the mat. And exhale, fold. Just let the head drop with gravity. Inhale, coming up again, lifting from the back of the head. And exhale, walk your hands to the left again, last time. Inhale, reach the arms up, tailbone reaches for the earth. And exhale, twist, left arm back as you twist to the left. Inhale, reaching both arms up. Exhale, bring your hands to the blocks, lift the back knee. Inhale, walk to that wide-legged position again. And exhale, fold. And we'll pause here for just a few breaths. Just check out those knees if they're hyperextending. So if they are, just give them a little bend. And just let the head hang. I know for some of you, holding forward isn't comfortable. So if it's not, just stay a little bit more upright, and that's fine too. We're just going to be here just another moment. And if you're folded forward on your inhale, slowly come up. Again, the back of the head to the sky, walk, toe heel your feet back together, or not together, but about hip distance apart. Lift your navel to your spine, take one hand to your hip, other hand to the hip, elbows pointing towards the sky, lengthening through the crown, and as you inhale, slowly stand. All right. And then I encourage you to take your time in Shavasana. I'm not going to join you in Shavasana for today's practice, but I encourage you to lie in stillness for a few minutes if you have time to finish up your practice. And as you lie flat, flat is fine, or prop yourself up as is comfortable, maybe a blanket rolled up or pillow rolled up behind your knees. Be nice, palms at the sky, and just focus on the breath and just that idea or that energy of just allowing the breath in to expand and fill the body, and just exhaling with a gentle squeeze of the air out. And just focus on that, and just as best you can stay present with the breath and just the feeling of your body against the earth. So go ahead and come onto your back, and I'll guide you through the first few breaths to finish up the practice. Just connect with the feeling of your body against the earth. And again, as you breathe in, feel the expansive quality of the breath allows you to allow the breath in. And as you exhale, gently squeezing the air out. Just allowing the breath to ebb and flow, simply aware of its rhythm. And thank you for joining me for this practice today. Have a great and healthy day. Namaste.